Good evening. Welcome to Take Two Tuesday. Hope everybody had a good week or a good weekend, and glad you're joining me tonight. And I have a fun card for you that I'm looking forward to sharing. And I'm just gotta fix my computer here. I always forget to turn the sound down. So, whoops. Don't want to do that. There we go. So, anyway, I hope you are watching tonight. And if you are watching, please say hello and let me know you're there. And we're going to get started here in just a second. Just trying to, I have a couple things out on my desk, trying to put them away. Tonight we're going to make a fun card that slides. So that's a little hint for you for when we get going. So I am using the Hydrangea Haven stamp set. This stamp set is carrying over into the new catalog. The paper, however, which this is the one little piece of designer series paper I'm using for this card, does not. I am going to show you the paper because it is beautiful paper. There's all different kinds of patterns. This is some of this. That's the piece I'm using. There's little stripe patterns. There's little flowers. Of course, this is one of the best ones. These beautiful hydrangeas, and that's the back. So they go great together. And then this is one of the other pieces. Makes great card. That's the back. There's one more. The back of that one. Of course, this one I've used a lot of, which is why I only have a little piece left. And that's the back of that one. So beautiful paper. It will retire at the end of June when the mini catalog retires. So if you like it, you might want to get it now before it's gone. So, because I think it'll go kind of fast. So we'll see. So I'm going to just put this aside, and we're going to go over the measurements of the card that we're doing tonight, so you can get all your pieces together if you don't already have them. So you will need a piece of cardstock that is 5.5 by 8.5, and I have that written down. You will need another piece of that same cardstock that is 3.5 by 3.5. You will need a piece of designer series paper. This piece is 3.25 by 3.25. I'm using this side, so I'm going to put it that way. You also need 2 other pieces of coordinating designer series paper. This is from the same set, because there's the little hydrangeas on the other side. And these pieces are 1 7/8. I'm going to flip it around here. You can see 1 7/8 by 5.25. And you will need to have 2 pieces of that. Then for the white, you need a piece of basic white that is 4 by 5.25. And then you need 4 pieces of this. There's 4 of these. I'm going to move that out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these pieces are 3 by 3, but you need 4 of these pieces. You'll also need, I use circles. So this is about a 2-inch circle, and then this is a scallop circle. I did die cut these from the Layering Circles dies. But you could also, if you don't have circles, you could use a square. You could use a rectangle. You could use an oval. Just something to put your sentiment on. You will need a little bit of ribbon. This is the, what is this? This is the, can't even read it. Gorgeous Scrape. Yep. And it's Gorgeous Scrape sheer ribbon. I knew that was the name of it. I was just trying to figure out what they called it. So you will need some of that. You will need some tear and tape. You don't have to use tear and tape, but it works the best. You could also use some of the Stampin' Seal Plus. You want something that's gonna hold really well for our piece that's gonna slide. So you will need some of that. So, and then your other basic adhesive. So I'm going to leave this here just for a second, if you want to take a picture or if you want to write the measurements down real quick. I will have them on my blog tomorrow, so you can check those out. I do try and put them, or a link to that, on the video so that you can find it real easy, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So while you do that, I'm going to get my trimmer out because I didn't do that. And lucky for me, I just happen to sit right next to where all my stuff is. So when I forget stuff, I can pull it out real quick. So, all right. So hopefully you have that down or you've taken a picture, because I'm going to move these pieces off to the side. And we're going to do a little bit of scoring. So we don't need this one or this one or this one. We are going to score this piece, and we're going to actually score 2 of the 3x3 pieces. So I'm going to set those out. So this piece, obviously, this is going to be real easy. So we're going to, this is the 5.5 by 8.5. We're going to score it on the long side, on the 8.5 side. And I'm going to think where I'm scoring it now. We are scoring it, oh gosh. My mind has just gone blank. Hold on. I don't know why I can't remember where I'm going to score it at. I'm pretty sure we're scoring it at 2 and 8. But I got to measure my other card just to make sure. And yep, I'm right. Okay. We're going to score this at 2 1/8 inches. On this side, move your cutting blade out of the way because you only want to score. So 2 1/8. And I'm going to move this over just a tad. And then we're going to turn the paper the other way, and we're going to score the same thing, 2 1/8 from the other side. So we're scoring from both ends. So we're scoring 2 1/8 on this side, then we flipped it over, and we scored 2 1/8 on the other side. Okay, and then you will need 2 of your pieces of the basic white. These were 3x3, and we're going to score these at 1.5. So I'm just going to, which is right in the middle. So if you don't have something to score with, you can just fold them in half. But I'm going to score them. So at 1.5. And we're just doing 2 of those. And that's it. So you can put your trimmer away. Okay. So now we're going to get this piece out, and I'm going to get my scoring tool. So we're just going to fold those flaps where we scored it right toward the center of our card. There you go. And actually, I might need your trimmer. So you can see that this is what they call a Dutch fold card. So it's going to open like that. If your piece is just like mine do, if they meet exactly in the middle, we're going to want to trim just a teeny tiny bit off the side so that there's a little bit of space in between. Otherwise, where our slider is going to go, it's going to be kind of tough for it to slide. So mine, you can see, if you look real close, hopefully I can get it up there in the right spot, you can see that they meet right exactly in the middle, but I want a teeny bit of space. So I'm just going to take like 1/16 off the edge. Depending on how you scored yours might be okay. So I'm just taking a tiny, tiny bit off. You can see how tiny that is, pretty little. And now I've got like a little space in between. Might have been a little bit too much, but that's okay. All right, so now we are going to take our 2 pieces of designer series paper that are 1 7/8 by 5 1/4, and we're going to put one of those on each of the panels right here on the front. So I'm going to get my glue and put those right on the front. So actually going to open it up so it's easier to do. That's one, and we're going to put one on the other side. So how is everybody tonight? I hope you're watching. And this one's going to go on the other side. Okay, and then it's going to just go just like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set this aside. Oops, I got a little glue on there. Get that off. Sticky on my hand. All right. Now we're going to take our 4 pieces of 3x3 that are white. The 2 that we have scored, we're going to just fold them in half and give them a really good crease. I'm going to fold that in half and give it a really good crease. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put them up here so that they look like little mountains. So on the mountain side, which is the it's going to be the outside because they're folded like that, we're going to put tear and tape, 4 pieces of tear and tape on here right along the edge. So I'm going to get my tear and tape out, move that out of the way, and we're just going to put it right on this edge. And then we're going to put it right next to where the fold is in the middle. Then you're going to put one right on the other side. Kind of mangled my tape there. And then you're going to put one right on the edge. Just like that. So you have 4 pieces. And you can see, hopefully you can see, there's a piece of tear and tape here, 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 and there. So, and then we're going to do the same thing to our other piece. So I'm just going to put some tear and tape on there. Some people like to cut their tear and tape. I just go with what the name is, tear. So I just tear mine. But if you want to, you can cut it with scissors. You don't have to just tear it off or rip it off. You know, just kind of your personal preference. So now we have those 4 pieces. I kind of like to give mine just a little rub with my bone folder. It seems to help when you're peeling off the other side, that it just kind of easier to come off a little better. So okay, so now we need one of these pieces, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the things off, but we're going to take these 2 pieces and put them on here so that the 2 folded edges are butting up against each other right in the middle, just like that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take off 2 of the strips that are on the back, and we're going to adhere this piece to this white piece right here. You're going to want to make sure that the fold is in the middle, and you're just going to kind of line it up the best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you're just going to kind of, mine's a little crooked, but that's okay. It's not going to matter because nobody's going to see it, so it doesn't matter. And then we're going to do the same with this one. So I'm going to flip it over and take the backing off on the back. And then with the folded side, we're going to put the folded side right toward the middle, and we're just going to, oops, got to get the sticky side down. The folded side is going to go toward the middle, and we're just going to put that on and butt them up next to each other, just like that. So now you have a piece. This is the flat piece, and then the other 2 pieces are on it, so it kind of looks like that if you were standing it up. Okay, and then we still have this piece, or these pieces that still have the tape, so we're going to take those off, and then the other piece that we have is going to go sit right on top. take these off. Okay, and then this piece is going to go on top. So it might be easier if you flipped it over and just kind of laid it down right on top of the other one. It doesn't matter if it's exactly on it. So now we have a flat piece on both sides, and then you can see we have kind of like an X, I guess, where they're attached together. So this is our sliding piece, and when it's going to go on the card, this is going to be the back part. It's actually just going to slide right on. Our piece is right here. Yep. And it's just going to slide right down like that and keep our card closed. But we have to decorate this because you don't want it to look like that, because that looks pretty bad. So that is where these other pieces come in. So you're going to need both of these, your piece of 3.5 by 3.5 cardstock, your 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 designer series paper. That is going to go right on top, just like that. So I'm going to glue those down. And you could use either side, so I could have used this side too if I wanted, but I kind of like the other side. I'm going to put that on there. And then this is going to go on top of the other one. So when you're putting these on, if you have paper that is directional, that has a definite like up pattern, or where it has a definite top and a bottom, you're going to want to make sure that the top and bottom are on there, so that when you're attaching this piece, it's going to go like this, so you can see. So this would be the top, and this is the bottom. So if you have like stripes, obviously you want to make sure that your back piece is going on in that direction, so that your paper stays in the right direction. This one, it doesn't matter, because there's kind of looks the same no matter which way I turn it. Oops, I wanted to do that the other way. You actually want to put the glue on this and not the other piece, just in case it's too wide. I might have to clean some of that glue off. And then you're just going to attach it on the back, just like that. There we go. And so now that's your piece that's going to show on the front. And oh shoot, I did it again. I forgot to put the ribbon on. So let me see if I can fix that. And if not, we're just going to put a bow on it. So my other piece for my other card, you can see I have ribbon around it, and I put ribbon underneath the designer series paper. So I might not be able to do that on this one, so you might just add a bow instead, but that is where your ribbon is supposed to go. So if you hold on, yeah, I don't think I can, I might be able to, I know it, hold on. I'm going to show you a little trick here. When you make a boo-boo, you can always fix it. So we're going to attempt a little fixing here. So the ribbon is supposed to go around, but I can tuck it underneath this piece. So this little handy tool, or take your pick tool, has like a little spatula on it, and you can slide it underneath to kind of loosen it up, so that you can get a piece of ribbon underneath it. So you can kind of see there's a little spot there where I can get it underneath. So if I take my ribbon and take a little piece of tear and tape and put it right on the end, in case you do this yourself and you forget. Actually, when I made this card the other day, I forgot too. I don't know what's wrong with me. My brains sometimes just aren't thinking. All right, so now I gotta see where I pulled it up. Right there. So that has a little bit of tear and tape on it, so I'm just going to tuck it underneath and press it down, and now it's stuck. Then I'm just gonna wrap it around, and I'm gonna cut this off. About there. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm just going to slide this underneath and hopefully be able to get my ribbon underneath there. So now this is called operating on your card. So this is what happens when you are live on Facebook and you make a little boo-boo. So now I made like a little, you can kind of see like a little pocket there. I have enough where I can kind of put it underneath. So I'm going to put a piece of tear and tape on this, and hopefully we'll get it underneath there. So a little piece of tear and tape. You could use glue, but the tear and tape's a little less messy if you don't get it quite where you want it. And then I'm just going to kind of tuck it in underneath, and because I have like a little handy little spatula, I can help push it underneath. So you can see I'm just putting it underneath. There you go. And ta-da, we have ribbon on the front of our card. There we go. So now you learned something new today of how to fix it when you make a boo-boo. So now we are going to do just a little bit of stamping. You're going to stamp your sentiment on here. And as I said earlier, I'm using the Hydrangea Haven, and I'm using this You Make Me Smile little saying right there. Oops. So actually I already took it off. I am going to stamp this in gorgeous grape ink. Let's go. Just going to get my ink out. And this is the saying. Get it right side up. I'm going to stamp it right in the middle. Hopefully in the middle. There we go. And then this little stamp is this little bunch of flowers right down here. So I'm just going to stamp them real lightly on the top and underneath that. Just give it a little more decoration. So I am going to do that in Highland Heather ink so that it won't be so dark, because I do want it to be just a little lighter in color, so you can kind of still see the words. And I am just going to stamp off once, and I'm just going to got shadows on here. I'm going to stamp just a little there, and I'm going to do that, stamp off again, and then just put it underneath at the bottom, just like that. And then I'm going to put my ink away. And then this piece is just going to be attached to there with glue. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of my circle. And then we are going to use dimensionals to attach that to the other piece. So, hey Sharon O'Brien. And let me get my dimensionals out. Let's use the big ones. There we go. Put them on the top and the bottom, and then we're going to make a little bow out of the ribbon. So my bows just seem to come out better when I'm doing them without the, I could wrap this around and then tie a bow with it all in one piece, but I do better with tying bows with it's not connected. So don't ask me why. Maybe it's because I'm left-handed, but my bows seem to come out better if I'm doing it the other way. So I'm just going to kind of fudge around with my ribbon here a minute to get my bow the size I want it. That's about right. And then I'm just going to cut the tails off. My paper snips. There we go. And then I'm just going to use a glue dot to attach this to the side. And here's a glue dot on there. So you just press the middle of the bow right on the glue dot, pull it off, put it on, press it down, and you're done. So now we have this finished, and we just have one more thing we're going to do with this piece, and that is to put our 4 by 5 1/4 piece in the middle of our card. If you want to do a little stamping on here, you can. In fact, I think I'm going to put some of those little flowers in here. I get my ink back out. Just to kind of decorate my piece here in the middle. So I'll put some in the corner. And the other corner. Let's see, I think I'm going to do all 4 corners this time. And of course you can stamp a sentiment inside, or if you'd like. I think I'm just going to leave it like that, and then we're just going to glue this right to the middle of our card. I'm just going to put a little glue on here. And this is just going to go right in the middle. And yeah, so my friend Sharon commented, pretty as a card we did Sunday evening. We did make these cards together with a small group I have on Sunday evening. And I did the same thing Sunday. I forgot to put the ribbon on. So just so you know, I'm very consistent when I do things wrong. So then you're just going to put your little piece on, and there's your card. So, and then I'll show you the one that, this is the one that I did on Sunday. It's the same card, just different paper. The paper's from the same paper set, so you can do that. And this is another one that also, whoops, that's upside down, that has the same paper from that set. So you can see that, you know, you can use the same set of papers, and you can make, you know, a whole bunch of these cards, and they're all going to look different depending on what colors you use, what color cardstock you use. These I put ribbon on. This one I just put some little gems on, and I used a different stamp set, that one that had a happy birthday on it, to do that one. So anyway, there's your card. So you can see that these they just slide right off, and then the card opens up and your message is inside. Can't remember if I put anything in this one. Yep, I did. Just only on the front. And then this one, which was the birthday one, also has a little message on the inside. So, but you can see these are real easy to make. They're fun to make. You can do it with any set of papers. You don't have to do a square, by the way. You can do a rectangle if you want. So you would just, whatever size your rectangle is, the pieces that go on the back, you would just make them a little bit smaller, and you would score them the long ways if you were doing a rectangle. So, and then if you want the easy way to get them on, I just kind of bend it a little bit and have my card partially open. Of course, now it's not going to work as well. There we go. Just slide it on. But then, you know, when the person that gets it, I think that one's sitting on top, they just slide it off, and you can see what's inside. So I hope you enjoyed this card. Yes, when I'm finished, would you tell the measurement for scoring the card base? Yes, so your card base is 5.5 by 8.5, and you're going to score it at 2 1/8 from both sides. So I'm going to write that down for you, so you can write it down real quick if you want, Miss Sharon. Otherwise, I'll send it to you. Hey, Megan, you finally made it. So when you're scoring it, you're going to score it at 2 1/8 from both sides. Okay, so there you go. So That's where you're going to score your bigger piece. If I could find my little sticky thing. Yep, there you go. So when you're scoring the base of the card, which is 5.5 by 8.5, you're going to score on the long side, which is the 8.5 side, at 2 1/8 from both ends. You're going to do 2 1/8 from one end and 2 1/8 from the other end. So, all right. So I hope that helped, and I hope you all have a great evening, and I will see you again next week for another Take Two Tuesday. Have a great week.